The Bug Bux Podcast.
Something happens to your husband.
Sadly, in May of 2010, the heart condition took my husband's life and he passed away. Basically, January of 2009, I took over the business full time. I was everything. I handled the calls. I handled the retreats. I was the technician in full.
Tell me about those days. They couldn't have been easy.
I remember driving down the road and I had this thought of, when is this going to be over? Pleading to my God and saying, I can't do this. This is too hard. And the thought came right back to me. My dad at the hospital, when they said that they declared my husband deceased, he took me aside and he said, you got this, Jan. You can do this. You've got life to live. You've got 3 kids that are counting on you. You've got customers and family. So yeah, I had to organize myself every day. I had to be disciplined about how I was living my life and what I was doing. We have always been just like a healthy one route company.
If there is ever a case to keep your pest control company small, keep it one route, keep it just family based and community focused, you just heard it. Today, I'm so excited. I actually handpicked this episode, which I don't all the time. I'm so excited to be joined by Jana Lloyd. She's the owner of Antelope Hills Pest Control. She has a very unique story that we're going to get into regarding her family-driven business. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Bug Bux Podcast. I'm your host, Allan Draper. You've heard me before. So thankful for your time. I know you're busy. You should be, at least. You're building pest control companies. A lot of the states that I'm in, Colorado, Utah, Michigan, New York, Massachusetts, it's not the slow time for us, but it's slower, right? We're not getting the crazy callbacks and phone's not ringing off the hook necessarily, but we're in growth mode. So I know you are too. So thank you for spending this time with me. Hey, make sure before we get into our guests, I'm really excited. You're going to want to hear this story. But before we get into that, make sure you go to bugbuxplus.com. We just uploaded, I think, another couple of courses, and one is from yours truly about how you raise money to grow your pest control company. I cover all the ways that you can get money. There's not that many, actually, to grow your pest control company if you're in that position. So I talk about the funding aspect. And I think the cool thing about that course is I didn't script it at all. I had an extra hour or something in a studio that I had rented for something not Bug Bux related. And I just rattled off some thoughts that were at the top of my head. So the good thing is fresh, kind of genuine thoughts. The bad thing is not very well organized. So, but make sure you check that out. That's free for Bug Bux Plus members. Today, I'm so excited. I actually handpicked this episode, which I don't all the time. Sometimes they're scheduled by Jordan, but I'm so excited to be joined by Jana Lloyd. She's the owner of Antelope Hills Pest Control that's in Lincoln, California. I think that's upstate. We're going to get into that. But Jana has spent years caring for her community the same way her family always has. And that's with hard work, honesty, and a down-to-earth approach to pest control. That sounds familiar to a lot of us. She carries forward a family legacy that's built on service, kindness, and knowing her neighbors by name. We're excited to have her share her story. She has a very unique story that we're going to get into regarding her family-driven business. So with that, Jana, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So I met your son and daughter-in-law at Pest World. It was crazy because I was actually waiting for my Uber. Everything was packed up. So it was the very last person I spoke to at Pest World. And he told me, I was just asking him how he got started, where he's located. And then we started talking about you and your late spouse. And so I want to hear about that. Tell me, I guess the question is, how did you get into pest control? And I want to hear this story.
Okay. Well, my husband, when we got married, he was a carpet cleaner with his brother. My husband had epilepsy, and so he needed to have work that he could adjust to his schedule. In 1989, October 17th, here in California, we had the Loma Prieta earthquake that happened in the Bay Area. I
Oh,
was
that's
7 months
right.
pregnant with Sam. My husband, I was working as a bilingual community liaison with the local school district. And I came home from work 7 months pregnant. My husband was all sunburned. And I was like, how do you get so sunburned when you're in people's homes cleaning carpets? And he said, oh, well, I took a day trip. He had a beautiful custom Yamaha VMAX that was custom painted. And he and his brother took a day trip to the Bay to check out the earthquake. And I said, well, in 2 months, I'm going to have a baby and I won't be going back to work. So you need to find more steady work. And so he started working with Clark Pest Control, which is a very big company here in California. He worked with them for a few years, and then he transferred to a more local company, Roseville Pest Control Company. And he worked for those two companies about 5 years. And April 15th, 1995, we opened up as Antelope Hills Pest Control. And the rest is history. We just started with telemarketing, door knocking, I worked a graveyard shift while he built the business during the day. And about 3 years into it, I had my third child. So I quit working, and by that time we had enough money, enough route built up that I could quit and stay home with the kids.
So, I mean, the ongoing joke or whatever you want to call it is that none of us choose the pest control industry. It seems to find us more than we find it. But then we can't get out of it. I went to law school and I consider myself a bug guy and consider that transition one of the best things professionally I've ever done. Now your story really takes a turn, years down the road. So you started in 1995. Mm-hmm. Something happens to your husband.
Well, in 1995, we opened, and 5 years into it, we were able to buy our home. By that time, we had 3 children, Sam, Kelsey, and Emily. We had moved into our home in Lincoln. And first, right off the bat, my husband, I told you he had epilepsy. He had a seizure driving and totaled our pest control truck. And that was in April 24th, 2001. So at that time, I took over the physical labor where I had been more the bookkeeper and the data entry and that stuff from home. I took over the physical work because Steve had broke his neck. And so I think that taking over that 6 to 8 months, that prepped me for what was coming down the road.
You became the technician. He was the one running the routes, and then he got into an accident, wasn't able to do this. So then, and you had been involved in the pest control company, probably done a lot of things, but you hadn't been a technician before.
No. I would ride around with them in the truck and wipe webs and talk to the customers. And no, I had like a quick crash course in pest control. And we ate and slept and lived pest control anyway, but we just switched roles, and he was home healing and I became the technician out in the field. And it was good. It was fine. And I learned, and I was licensed by that time. I had my branch too. And so I was good. And I knew my customers because I talked to so many on the phone. We have always been just like a healthy one route company. We have not grown beyond that because of these things that I'm telling you about. And we were happy with that. We were good. We make good money, took care of us, took care of our kids, and we were happy with that. And then In October, November of 2028, my son was preparing to leave for a church mission, and Steve and I became sick with the virus.
What year is this?
2008. 2008.
Okay. Okay. In 2008.
And
Okay.
Steve and I both had like a viral something, and it took us like weeks. And finally, I started coming out of it. He never came out of it. And what we found out had happened was that the virus attacked his heart, and it caused his heart to enlarge. So by the end of the year, we sent our son to Japan, and my husband was declared disabled because his heart wasn't functioning. So basically, January of 2009, I took over the business full time. And his health deteriorated so badly that I was everything. I handled the calls. I handled the retreats. I was the technician in full. And then sadly, in May of 2010, a year and a half later, the heart condition took my husband's life, and he passed away. And ever since then, I've been the bug lady. That's my customers call me the bug lady. And I've just continued on. My kids have all worked with me. All three of them worked in the business in one capacity or another. They've all worked with me, and it's helped to get them through school. They would come home in between and work with me, and I would pay them. So each one of them has helped us to maintain. And to this day, I maintain a full route, a nice, healthy route. And I lose a few here and gain a few. I have this year, April 15th, we celebrated 30 years as our little pest control business. And I have customers that go all the way back 30 years with me.
Holy cow.
I love them. I have people that I have gone to weddings and funerals and watched people's babies be born. I have people that their babies were born, they graduated high school, graduated college, and they're now having kids. And it's great. It's been great.
Holy cow.
So I'm the
Wow.
epitome of a small town business, family run business.
That's incredible. It's so different. Like, so I started my pest control company. I moved from Phoenix to Detroit. And I started it in 2015. So in 2015, so a little over a decade ago. And then within a year, I had moved from Detroit to Boston to start another branch. And then later that year, I moved back from Boston to Phoenix. So you've been in the same place geographically and have the same company and some of the same customers that you've had for 30 years.
Yes.
And my experience has been so different. I can't imagine that level of, I mean, you have definitely what I don't in terms of community. I don't know. It's been what, 8 years since I've put on a technician shirt, something like that, 7. And so you have this connection with people where your customers became your friends, your family, like you're going to weddings. And what is that like? Was that planned? Like, did you think it was going to be like that, or did you fall into it? And at what point did you realize, like, hey, I love this. I love seeing their kids grow up and having these relationships with these people that I actually work for them?
Honestly, a lot of it, I think, stems back to my husband's health and him. I'm a farm girl. I was raised on a farm, so I was taught to work hard, and just being supportive to my husband and our need to take care of our kids. And sure, would it have been a dream to expand and have routes and trucks? That's what my son is trying to do with his end of the business, is grow.
And so
And
just to
I
clarify,
applaud
Sam,
him.
And so your son's just for the listener, your son Sam, he who I met at Pest World, he owns a pest control company with his wife in that same geographical area or similar, isn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of in that same area.
Right. Which he told my husband and I when he was younger, I'll never be a pest control. I'll never do pest service. And now here he is, 15 years later, and he's the Bugman Junior. And he's doing well. He's working hard to build his. Like I said, all three of my kids have worked in the business. They've been invaluable to me. So it's been good. As far as my customers, I love people. I just love people. And so I took a sad, tragic situation, and I've just made it work. I stand on doorsteps with people and cry with them and rejoice with them. And just, I'm at people's house late at night working, they hear a rat in their attic, and I'm there trying to figure out how we're going to help them I had a customer not long ago that had a king snake in their house, and it was a Sunday night, and I said, well, I have some glue boards. Let's try and see if we can get the snake to come out. And sure enough, about 2:00 in the morning, she called me and she said the snake came out, and I went over and got it, and Sam and I released it from the glue board and put it back out in the field and let it go. And I think having a big business, man, that's the dream of everybody, right? But there's a certain beauty in small town community business too, and having that. Like I said, I've cried with people, they've cried with me. When my husband passed away, I had people that came to his funeral, and so many people that have just stayed with me and supported me that I love it. Sometimes it's hard to get up. I'm 62. I'll be 63 in January. So I'm looking forward to maybe 4 or 5 years being done with it. But for now, I just try to find the positives and the blessings of it.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Navigating the digital landscape of pest control marketing can be overwhelming, but with over 16 years of industry experience, Lizard Marketing knows exactly how to help you dominate your market and outshine the competition. Their team understands the unique challenges of the pest control industry and crafts high-impact SEO strategies, stunning website designs, and laser-focused Google Ads campaigns that don't just bring in leads, they convert them into loyal customers. Lizard Marketing believes that trust, transparency, and partnership are the foundation of success. They don't just offer marketing services. They build relationships with their clients, working side by side to help them achieve their business goals and grow with confidence. If you're a Bug Bux member, mentioning your membership unlocks exclusive savings on their services. And if you're expanding your skills through our online educational platform, you'll gain access to even greater deals to strengthen your digital presence. DM marketing to the Bug Bux Podcast Facebook page for more information, or visit lizardmarketing.co today. Mention your affiliations and claim your discounts. With Lizard Marketing's proven expertise and client-first approach, you'll adapt, evolve, and succeed. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
You're waking up and you're still running a route.
Yep. I'm home today. I asked the boss if I could have the day off to do this with you, and she said, yeah, I could have the day off. She said, yeah, that's a good thing. So it's okay. You can have the day off.
Awesome. Tell me about, let's rewind a little bit. So it's 2008. You guys get sick, and then and then your husband passes away in May of 2009. Is that what you said?
2010.
2010. Tell me about those days. They couldn't have been easy.
No. So by that point, I had been running the route by myself for about 1.5 years already. He was at home and I could consult with him. But I was running the route for 1.5 years and taking care of him. And at the same time, my son was on a mission in Japan. I had a 14-year-old daughter at home. Actually, she was 13. She turned 14 the day after her dad passed away.
Oh
And
my
then my
gosh.
other daughter was 18-ish in her senior year of high school. And, you know, I have a lot of faith in life and in a higher power, in my God. And I feel like I've never walked alone. And my dad at the hospital, when they said that they declared my husband deceased, he took me aside and he said, "You got this, Jan. You can do this." And I said, "Okay." And I took a week off to bury Steve and to have that service. And then I took a week to get my paperwork in order. I wasn't an operator. I had branch 2, but I wasn't an operator. My brother-in-law, Steve's brother, luckily, he had passed his operator's test the previous year in 2009. So he took me under his wing as his, he's my qualifying manager. And that's how we've been ever since. He's been my qualifying manager. I own my business, but he's my QM. And we just pressed forward. We just picked up and moved on. And like I said, my community, my church community, my family has been extraordinary, all of my family. But my church community around me and my neighbor community around me has been extraordinary in supporting me and encouraging me. And I just feel I'm never alone. I'm never alone. I could
Yeah,
tell
that's
you lots of
incredible.
really personal stories about things, but I will just say that I know that I'm never alone.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's what your dad said to you. It seems like, oh wow, what a moment, right? You've just found out that your husband's passed. You have a son, on the other side of the world. Kids at home. You're in charge of making ends meet, and your dad comes and tells you that that you've
I
got this.
I will tell you, for a long time, my dad, he would ride with me on Thursdays. He would come out and he would be my wingman. And I had a customer at the time who lived in the far outskirts of Lincoln on a beautiful piece of property. And he had a big lake pond thing on his property. And when I got there, he was way out on the other side of the pond. And this man was the sweetest, dear man, but he had a severe stuttering problem. And my dad and I pulled up, and I get out and I can see him out there, and I just wave across the fields and start doing my work. And he jumps on his quad from out in the field. He gets on his quad and he beelines it up to me. This man at the time, he's probably like 80-ish. And he comes flying over to me, gets off his quad and just throws his arms around me, and he's just sobbing, crying. And he just loved me. And these are the kind of people that, doing this on my own, that I can embrace. And I know that everybody can't do this, but there's so much good to being a sole prop and staying little and doing this on my own. And I really believe that my customers in the business also helped me to keep moving forward. It gave me that much more purpose to get up and get out of bed and keep me from that depression state that a lot of people, a lot of widows or widowers may fall into. In my circumstance, I had multiple reasons to get out of bed and to keep moving. And my customers were some of those.
I think when you're starting a business, it's really hard, and when you have challenges in your business like this, a death, or maybe a partner leaves, or you have a lawsuit or whatever, those days when you're laying in bed before you get up and you're trying to, a lot of times for me, it's why, what, how do I do this? And the answer to how I do this is, why do I do this? Tell us about that. How did you have to be proactive about it? Did you have to sit there and organize your thoughts, or was it always, hey, I'm not doing this for myself. I've got kids that depend on me. I've got customers that depend on me. And what were you thinking? What was that process like for you?
I think it was all of the above. It was, there was a huge weight put on my shoulders May 10th or May 3rd of 2010, when I said goodbye to my husband. The reality of what was coming. I remember driving down the road about 6 months into my husband's disability, coming into Lincoln on the highway. And I had this thought of, when is this going to be over? I can't do this. Pleading to my God and saying, I can't do this. This is too hard. And when is it going to be over? And the thought came right back to me, when it's over, meaning over for my husband, because we knew what ultimately was going to happen. And so that gave me a lot of perspective to say, okay, well, this is hard, but you're going to be okay. You've got life to live. You've got 3 kids that are counting on you. You've got customers and family. So yeah, I had to organize myself every day. I had to be disciplined about how I was living my life and what I was doing. Every day was get up and plan and move and go. There wasn't time for me to sit around and feel sorry for myself. I did that in private moments, but and I really believe that is for anybody in my situation. When you have these kind of things happen, the more you move and have projects and have things that keep you engaged in living, that the easier the transition's going to be. You're going to avoid that depression, hopefully. You're going to find that life is still worth living and people are good, that there's a lot of great people out there that, life is good, and you move.
Bug Bux is proud to partner with JT Eaton. JT Eaton is a family-owned and operated manufacturer of quality pest control products since 1932. Did you know that JT Eaton invented the first bait block and the first manufactured rodent glue trap? Since then, JT Eaton has continued to innovate with products like Little Pete Multiple Catch Mouse Trap, Zendo Zone's fruit fly traps, cleverly disguised as succulent plants, and the new stretch long extension poles that collapse to 3 feet and extend to 15 feet. JT Eaton is JT awesome. How much did it mean to you during this difficult time to have people that depended on you, where it wasn't like, and I don't necessarily suffer from depression like a lot of people. I've definitely had my moments, but I know it's easy just to say, oh, well, just go do something, right? A lot easier said than done in those situations. But how much did it mean to you to know, hey, it's actually not even myself that I'm doing this for?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't. It was, of course, part of it obviously was me. I had to also take care of myself. That thing of when you're on the airplane and you put your oxygen on first before. And so I did definitely have to take care of myself. But feeling the responsibility for my kids and my family, for my accounts, these people, they were counting on me to get up and go. I think it's the reciprocated respect and appreciation that I got from them that helped me, that personal one-on-one when I went to the door. So those those moments and those people to this day, they still mean the world to me. I have so many stories of longtime customers that actually they are dreading the day when I close business and I sell or whatever happens. They're already starting to cry and think, no, don't leave us, kind of thing. So it
That's incredible.
yeah, it makes it very worthwhile to keep moving.
One thing that's interesting is how it's clear that your faith played such a significant role in all of this, right? There's some people that it's such a huge part of their life that there's no part of their life that it doesn't affect. And I don't talk a lot about faith on this show, even though I have faith in God. It's affected my life in a lot of ways, and what I believe I'm, a lot of my purpose and what I'm trying to do. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder how you can be an entrepreneur and not have faith, because ultimately faith is the only reason we do this, right? When you start a business, what you're actually doing is you're saying, hey, I believe in something that I can't see.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right? There is something that exists, and all I'm going to do is organize the pieces, right?
Yeah.
It exists in my mind, and I'm going to do what it takes to make it exist in reality. And, as we're wrapping up here, I want your kind of final thoughts on your faith. Why was that such an important part during this process for you, and clearly important part of your life in general? But how did that sustain you? Why, because I feel like when you come to a crossroads like that, your spouse dies, you have this business that you have to take over full time, you have kids, all these things going on. When you come to a crossroads, I feel like you go one direction or the other, and you don't stay on the fence. And those directions are, I double down on my faith. I rely on it. It's what sustains me. This is what helps me kind of get through everything. Or how could God do this to me? Must be no God, whatever. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that as we're wrapping up. What was it specifically that kind of helped you get through this from your faith perspective?
So when Steve was at Roseville Pest Control and he told me, I think I want to do this on my own, I begged him not to. I was like, please just stay at Roseville. We have benefits, you have paid vacation. It's just stay there. And, but he had faith in himself, confidence in himself that he could do this. And so we broke off, and I had faith in him, even though it was scary. It was scary to leave a stable job. And we had 3 kids by this time. And we had the 2 kids, and the third one came soon after we started. And so it was scary. So I had to put a lot of faith in him and faith in what he believed in. And together, our faith together pushed us forward. And when he passed away, I had a dream one night, if I can get very personal. I had a dream one night, and I was driving our pest truck in uniform, and he pulled up alongside of me, and he was in what I will tell you in my dream, I call it a heavenly pest rig. I could tell it was a truck that was loaded down with equipment, and he pulled up alongside of me, and he looked very healthy and very happy. And he looked at me, and he did this motion with his arm. He would just kind of roll his arm like, come on, girl. And I had this very distinct feeling that he told me, I am always by your side. And that sustains me. Just having that faith that I don't do this alone, and that he's there. He's there watching me, and he's rooting me on. And so my faith, the people, I mean, my family, my faith, my accounts, all these things have propelled me forward to keep going. And yeah, it's all in a nutshell. No, I don't think I could have done one without the other. You know, it all had to come together. And I especially, before we end, I want to make sure again to just tell you how great my kids have been, that they have all sustained me, and they've all helped with this. Is truly was a family business that we built, and Mom just gets to keep carrying it on. So
I love it. That's, yeah, what, you know, if all my episodes are in some way or form, in some form or fashion, whatever, meant to help people grow their pest control companies, at least improve them. But I talk about growth and scaling a lot. That's what I focus on.
sure.
But if there is a case, if there is a case to be had for keeping your company small, which some people do on purpose. Some people, they don't want the headache. They don't want a bunch of employees that they're dealing with and the problems. Because with the larger your company gets, the more problems you have. It's just true. Okay. But if there's ever a case, and you're never going to hear me say this probably ever again, you haven't heard me say this before, but if there is ever a case to keep your pest control company small, keep it one route, keep it just family based and community focused, you just heard it. That's it. Like, this is such an incredible story. You know, when I talked to Sam at Pest World, and he told me your story, and I thought it was so cool. And you just blew us away. I know there's, you know, we have right about 1,000 weekly listeners. And so people are kind of catching episodes at different times, but there's, you know, I think by the time everything's said and done, a couple of thousand people will listen to this episode. And, you know, I don't know that we could have talked about accounting or who the best vendors are or marketing, and it been more impactful for their pest control company, not just them personally. Like, I hope the listener makes sure that they allow, I mean, first of all, if you didn't feel something, like, you probably need to get yourself checked out, but you know, for the listener, allow this episode to help you do things just a little bit better. Just whatever that is. And I'm not the judge here, but allow this story, like, maybe it's the motivation, or maybe it's like, hey, you know what? There was this issue I was having with somebody. I'm going to reach my hand across the aisle, or whatever it is. Use this episode for that, to help you get to that next level, whatever that is. So, hey, Jana, this has been fantastic. It's been, I was anticipating a great episode. This is better than I had expected, even when I was talking to Sam. So thank you so much for joining us. You're not a member of the Bug Bux community, but all the people that, I guarantee you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of people that have access to all sorts of resources. So at any point, if you need something, please let us know. This is a really close-knit community. Even though we're competitors, we're really good friends first. And so, best of luck in the future. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And please let us know if there's anything we can do in the future for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be on.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bux Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.